And it gives me great pleasure to bring these next two speakers up. When I called and I said, can you make a trip? We're really needing to kind of fill this out in the way of where we're heading with the canals. They both agreed immediately. So I'd like to acknowledge them for doing that and be willing to come today. And they did enjoy the Grenville Sweets last night, which is 4 thumbs up if there's 4. So it gives me great pleasure to invite Debbie Jewell, Director of Investment and Development Office, and Noreen Cartwright from Senior Investment Consultant from Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Sport. Thank you.
Green means go. Good. Thank you, Anne, and thank you all. This is an amazing opportunity for us to be here, and we did thoroughly enjoy the Grenville Suites last night. What a gem you have here. That is a 5-star, classy place. Unbelievable. So, and we've been spending a lot of time in Eastern Ontario lately and discovering some of the amazing products you have, businesses. There is, just as Darlene said, this area is prime for to become an amazing tourist destination. So that's a bit about what we're talking about here today. And I'm pleased to be here with Noreen, who's really doing all the work on this new product we're working on. So I will jump right in. This is a very bureaucratic presentation. Blah. So I won't say all these words. You can read them if you want to. We're going to talk about what our office does with the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Sport. Some information on how we work on investment attraction and what we're doing with the Rideau Canal specifically. And then we're going to talk, as Darlene did, about the need for partnerships and how we can make this work. So our minister, one of his mandates is actually attracting investment into Ontario. So we are proactively going out and doing lead generation and trying to get new investors here in the tourism industry. So this exercise is part of that. Our office specifically, we have 2 sort of programs that help us with some of this work. One of them is Celebrate Ontario. This is a festival and event program. We invest about $20 million every year in close to 300 events around the province. This is all driven by economics. Events have to prove that they're bringing tourists into the province, that they're spending money, and that we get a return on investment for that. So I know Grenville Live Music Festival is one of those that we support. Great event, it looks like. I'm going to come back, stay at the Grenville Suites, and go to that event next year. And many others. I think we've invested about $1.1 million in Leeds, Grenville in festivals and events since the start of the program. So that's great. Tourism Development Fund is another program we have that we have supported some projects in this area. This is all about helping new tourism products get started in Ontario. So we actually helped to start the Park Bus that Darlene talked about. That's this bus service that gets people to our destinations. And we were one of the first ones, I think, to support the initial feasibility for the aquarium. So that was in 2006-07. So I'm glad to see it's almost open. So we're also in the 3rd year of implementing this tourism investment attraction strategy. So in 2012, we publicly announced that we are going to be more aggressive in trying to bring investment in tourism to Ontario. A lot of our research has shown we are highly underserved with attractions in this province. We have a great market, a solid market in Ontario, and not enough things for people to do. So this is why we're taking this more proactive approach. So we have 5 objectives in this strategy that we've launched. And one is to raise the profile of tourism as an economic driver. And I think there's probably a lot of people in this room that are trying to do the same thing. And we're trying to get tourism on the agenda. We work closely with our Ministry of Economic Development, Infrastructure and Employment, whatever they are now, mainly economic development, to get tourism recognized as an economic driver. And we work with them on these investment attraction efforts. We work very actively to position Ontario as a destination. So we develop these value propositions that show that we have a great market here, we have good employment, we have a good tax base, we have good supports for business. So we're constantly out pounding the pavement trying to get investors to look at Ontario. We actually just finished a major study called the Ontario Attraction Study, and it's identified 5 major concepts. So these are concepts that will attract 500,000 tourists a year to the province, and we're trying to sell those 5 concepts to investors right now. Very exciting if we can get that off the ground. We also support, so part of what Noreen does is once a company lands here, once we have that lead generation, it's helping them to get through the red tape, to find the property they need and to get started up here in Ontario. And we also have some of the best tourist attractions in the province owned by the province. St. Lawrence Parks Commission, Niagara Parks Commission, Ontario Place. How do we drive private sector investment into some of those agencies owned by the government? So that's part of what we're doing. So more specifically though, we're talking about, I say commercializing, that's not always a favorite word. I'd say driving economic development along inland waterways, the Rideau Canal, the Trent Severn, and the Great Lakes. This is a priority right now for the ministry, and that's what we're here talking about today. So in 2013, I say ministry staff, Noreen was at the World Canals Conference, and that's an annual conference where a lot of the canal boat operators meet, and she met with the world's largest self-hire canal boat company there. They expressed, she sold them on Ontario. They said, we need a lot of detailed information, technical, operational information on your canals, and we will consider Ontario as an investment. So we did a complete study on the Rideau, technical requirements, what you need to operate here as a European canal boat operator. Noreen presented that to this company, they took it to their board, and they decided, yes, we want to come to Ontario, we want to check this out. So just this past August, Noreen and I and Darlene and some others, and some people in this room too, met with Tui Boat. This is the largest, and Noreen's going to talk about them further. They came, we took them on the boat down the Rideau. They were blown away. They just thought, they said things like, this is the best of our European canals right here in Ontario. We were shaking when they were talking about how amazing this place is. They also said, why is no one doing this yet? Why do we not have more canal boats on this system? So they went away. We promised we'd continue to work with them. There's a lot of work to do. And Noreen's going to talk about this right now. So she's going to talk about the boat companies, more boat companies now that are interested in the Rideau, and what we need to do to get these companies here. So Noreen, take it away. She's our expert.
Oh, I don't know about that. Thank you, Anne, for inviting us. This is a wonderful opportunity to be here to tell you all about the exciting work we're doing. And thank you, Debbie. So, very much in keeping with your topic this morning, we're talking about our investment attraction activities and how they can lead to diversification of product on the water, on the Rideau. So stay with me for a little while. I hope this will be an enjoyable experience. As I look out to many of you, because you're right by the water, has anybody ever taken a European canal cruise? Oh gosh, you have a few, so I've got some experts in the audience. So the company that I started with, and it took us 4 years to get to them, they didn't want to hear from us, funnily enough. I chased them all over the world to get them, and finally we did meet them in Toulouse, France. And as Debbie alluded to, they wanted a manual. It took us a little bit of time because we too were interrupted in the process of getting the manual by our provincial election. But eventually we put it in their hands, and as Debbie said, the board of directors of Tui Group, which is based in Hanover, Germany, the biggest tour company in the world, agreed to allow their managing director of Tui Boat and their vice president of operations to come to the Rideau last summer. So Tui Boat currently operates, as you can see, in all of Western Europe. I don't have to go through all the countries, but they operate in all of Western Europe, and they've been on the canals now for nearly 40 years. This is a type of boating that is well known in Europe. And self-hire means it's like a car rental. You self-hire. So you don't have to be a boat owner to enjoy the Rideau. You rent a boat. And these are incredibly well-equipped vessels. So Tui is the market leader in the self-hire market. They currently have 900 vessels in use on the canals of Europe. They range from 2 people to 12 people. And right now they're building 104 new boats in a factory in Gdansk, Poland. And we're hoping to get some of those newer craft, which are going to be much more luxurious, a step up onto the Rideau. What I like about Tui is they're very interested in providing their customers with a unique experience, And one of the things that they have asked us to do, if they decide to come here, if it's financially viable, is to create for them a cruising companion. So this cruising companion is tied in with the GPS of the vessel. So as they're approaching Lockport, they can tune in and find out the local restaurants, the hotels, the hiking trails to the lookouts, what time the gelato store is open, where they can get lunch, where they can buy liquor, because the German boaters, particularly the men in corporate groups, love to buy cases and cases of very expensive scotch, and we're going to encourage that for the LCBO. And by the way, we stopped in Merrickville too and went in and bought the Europeans as much Mrs. McGarrigle's mustard as they could take back in their suitcases. We also bought them as much maple syrup as we could, and much to our chagrin, as we were shipping it to Europe in these boxes of maple syrup for them, they broke. So it was sad, but it all came back to us and we ate the remains. So the interesting part about Tui too, it runs 40 bases, I forgot to mention, in Europe. We're going to get on to Tui Group so you understand the size of this company and the importance worldwide, because often people come to Debbie and I as promoters, not investors. I love it when they come to us with a great idea but have no money. And when you see the next slide, you're going to see the kind of company we're dealing with and their potential for sustainability. When Tui does make a decision, if they make the decision to come to the Rideau, they will be here and probably outlive most of us. So this is very important. The fleet of boats are all very modern. They're very high quality. I've been on them in both Toulouse, France, and last year in Newport in Belgium. So we've experienced the boats ourselves. They all have the latest technology. They're joystick operated. It's like bumper boats for adults. You're going to see some of the pictures of these boats in a moment. And you're going to see they're surrounded by bumpers, so they can't do any damage. Yeah, and that's right. Anybody can almost drive these boats. They travel at a very slow speed, so there'll be no environmental damage. These are not guys racing along at 15 miles an hour. The boats go very slowly, 7 kilometers. And in a typical 7-day lease of a boat, a self-hire boat, the passengers only travel 60 to 80 miles. Because they only spend 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon, and of course possibly the overnight on the boat. The boat is just a vehicle like a car to get up and down the Rideau, up and down the canal. They want experiences, and particularly the European travelers. They look at Canada, we're clean, we're pristine, we're safe. They want experiences on our trails. They want experiences in our woods. And all of the time we were on the Rideau with Darlene and Debbie, the two people from Europe keep saying, where are the animals? Where are the bears? Where are the deers? What am I going to see? And we were just praying in August to see a turtle, and we couldn't even get a turtle. We did see one big bird. Was it a raven? But they were crazy about wildlife. So, we need to find partners here who are going to take them into the woods to find wildlife. They like to bicycle. All the canal boats come with bicycles. They want to bicycle. They want to do activities. So the land interaction is actually more important to have the wow factor from the land than the water experience. The water experience is key, but the land experience, and that's where we need all of you, is even more key to the success. And again, we were talking about diversification along the Rideau. This aligns beautifully, we feel, with the VIOC. I'm going to use that acronym because that's a big mouthful to say the bottom. And although Darlene and all of you were much bigger contributors, I'd like to give us a plug. We were a little contributor to the study. We did put some money in too, so we're very happy about the outcome. So, let me now talk about the Tui Group. This is the parent company, and let me just see, okay, how this works. Okay. So Tui Group, this is the owner of the company. Tui Group is the largest integrated tour company in the world. They own 1,800 travel agencies now in Europe. They used to own 3,500, but people don't go to travel agencies anymore. Instead, now they have 9 booking portals online in about 20 different languages. They own 300 hotels with 210,000 beds in 24 countries. They own 13 cruise ships ranging from 2,000 passengers to 4,000 passengers. These are all ocean-going cruise ships. We'd like to get them into the Great Lakes eventually. They could fit through the locks. They own 622 direct and indirect companies, subsidiary companies. Of those, Tui Boat is one of the companies. They own 6 airlines with 145 aircraft. How many of you in the room have actually gone on a Sunwing holiday to the Caribbean? Let me see a show of hands. Do you know that Tui owns 49% of Sunwing, and all of the aircraft you flew on belong to Tui? So what happens is that when we do the north-south in the winter, the Europeans aren't traveling as much, so the surplus aircraft from Europe come here, they pull off the decal that says TUI or Fly TUI on the tail and plop on a Sunwing decal. So you've actually experienced Tui Group yourself. They are bigger than the Ontario Public Service, and many people say we're bloated. They have 77,000 people on their staff and 130 countries, and we are really anxious for them to have staff along the Rideau Canal, and if we can get them, we'll be able to say even more staff. 77,010 or 20 or 30 or 40. Their operating revenues in last fiscal year were almost $30 billion. And the turnover is a word they use in Europe in the travel business. It means your gross sales, less the tax on your sales and any discounts. And their operating results before those evil words of tax were approximately $1.3 billion. And this year, that's expected to grow. So they're a very well-funded company, and they continue to acquire. Now, am I able to do this next one, or is it the gentleman at the back? So everybody sit back, relax. I'm going to take you on a TUI cruise of the Rideau.
A European holiday like no other. Unpack only once and settle into the slow rhythm of life on the water. Our boats are modern, spacious, and comfortable. And they're easy to handle. If you can drive a car, you can drive a Loca Boat river cruiser.
You got a speed.
A brief introduction to the boat by our experts will get you on your way. Locks are easy to navigate through, and each has its own charm. Travel at your own speed, relax, and watch the scenery drift past. Or get active and explore. Loca Boat, your holiday, your way.
So I can hardly wait to see that on the Rideau. If everything goes according to plan and we can get over the hurdles that we're temporarily facing, they'd like to start in 2017. I did want to say one other thing. You saw on the French canals that the poor boaters have to get off and crank the locks because the French are either on holidays, they're on lunch, their union says they can't work those hours. Our guests were completely blown away by the Parks Canada staff. They were so friendly, so wonderful. Our experiences at the lock-through was just incredible. So I want to thank Darlene and all her staff. They were superb. And the captain of our boat was a Parks Canada employee, and he animated our entire trip down the canal. So that was really an eye-opener for our French colleagues, because they kept saying, well, where's the union problems? Why aren't the staff on strike? Why are they here working? It's unheard of in France. And another company that we've been talking with is called Linson Boating Holidays. They're a Dutch boat builder per se. By the way, all of the TUI boats are corporately owned, and they have a fiberglass. They're built of fiberglass. Beneteau was their previous builder. Linson started in the boat building business in 1949, and they specialize in luxury vessels with steel hulls. Their boats started around Euro 500,000, so we're talking about 700,000 Canadian and up. They're very luxurious inside, and they are currently in Western Europe. Now, they operate a little differently from Tui. Tui owns all their boats. They place them on the canal. Linson often likes to have local affiliates. So if there's anybody in the audience, or anybody in the audience knows anyone here in Ontario who might like to become an affiliate with Linson, Linson wants to partner locally. Linson is a very family-oriented company, and they like to deal with families who are already involved in the business. Linson is also a bank. So, you know, this is really easy because they can do the boat financing too. So Mr. Peter Linson, the son of the founder, has requested a site inspection of the Rideau next summer. So we're hoping to have him here sometime next summer for their particular boats. Again, it's a step up from the Tui, much more luxurious. Another company that I met in France, in Cholet, France, is called Nadia Group. They are a manufacturer of steel products, and in their case, they do a variety of different manufacturing processes. One is building boats, steel, hulls. The other is huge garage doors for commercial enterprises. The other is very high-end commercial kitchen equipment, and the other product is high-end dental equipment for dentists. Most of the dental supplies that your dentists are using come from this company. So we talked to them about boating, and they have a model similar to Linson, where they want to deal with an affiliate. It doesn't necessarily have to be a family affiliate like Linson. It could be an individual who wants to work with them. They prefer to have a local as their partner on the Rideau. So we're in conversation with them. They've asked us to assist them to find a partner that they could initiate a conversation with. They do have some corporately owned boats, but they also have a fleet of 500 over 24 bases. They're a major company, and our colleagues at the Ministry of Economic Development, Employment and Infrastructure continue to work with them on bringing their garage door manufacturing, their dental equipment manufacturing, and their high-end kitchen equipment manufacturing to Ontario, and also, if they don't want to manufacture here, at least a distribution center. So the discussions still continue with them. This is a very interesting company at the bottom. I met them in Paris. It's called Loca Boat. They're owned by a French investment firm. They own all their own boats. Their claim to fame, they're very famous in France, is that they have a vessel called the Pinichette. And the Pinichette is modeled on the old-style canal boats on the canals, and that's the kind of product we would look from them. We're in initial conversation with two other companies, Dedracht and Palma Marin. So that's a long way off, but we still have a lot of interest in the Rideau Canal. This is another type of vessel that I'm interested in introducing. We're in conversations with two other companies, one in the UK and one in France. And these are called luxury crude hotel barges. And it doesn't look like much outside, but when you're inside, it's all beautifully wood paneled, antique furniture, fine china. You've got a nice, good-looking captain who's crewing it, so you can sit back with your Bloody Mary early in the morning. You have a gourmet chef who wants to do farm to table. They serve wonderful wine any time of day. They have a housekeeper who cleans up your room, and they also have a tour guide, because this boat even goes slower than the Tui boats. It only goes 3 miles an hour, and the clients are seeking interaction. They want a person-to-person experience. They want to know what's happening on the land, what's happening in the country, and that's a very important feature for them. So this would be an ideal product. I don't know how much this would cost to get across the Atlantic, but I suspect a lot. But we hope maybe in the next 5 to 7 years we could look at this kind of a product, and that maybe could be built locally, I don't know. But this would be our next step after the for-hire boats. So what is the size of the potential investment on the Rideau Canal? Each of the boats, whether it's a Tui boat all the way up to a Linson boat, they range from 300,000 euro to 500. Multiply that by 1.5 and you can get an roughly equivalent in Canadian dollars. That is the per boat capital cost of the boat. And to get them here, these boats are canal boats, so they can't sail across the Atlantic. They have to be freighted, so they have to be put in cradles. They have to be transported to the port of Antwerp or another one. They have to be cradled. They have to be shrunk wrapped. We estimate it costs about maybe 40,000 Canadian to move every boat across. Then they have to be moved from Sorel or Montreal to the Rideau Canal. So there is a major investment, and a lot of these boats are in use in Europe today. So what happens is if they're taken out of the fleet, the annual revenues that are guaranteed in Europe maybe are not so guaranteed in the first or second year here. But some of the interesting things that will generate economic development, the cruise lines or the boat lines need to have bases. Because if people only travel 60 to 70 miles a week and they want to go between Ottawa and Kingston, we need one core base, a main base in a location, and a variety of satellite bases. So there will be employment along the canal, and that employment comes, in the form of management, operations, licensed mechanics, maid service, housekeeping services. They're the direct jobs. So for every 16 boats, it's estimated that 10 direct jobs are created. And using an OMAFRA multiplier of 3.68 for the Rideau Corridor, it's 36 or 37 jobs that are created, indirect and induced. So there will be job creation. Now, you'll see in a moment the typical 5-year plan of one of these boating companies. The additional benefit, I think, is that the companies like a Tui Boat, even a Linson, who are worldwide brands, it will create a whole new recognition of the Rideau Canal. We, if we put all of our money together jointly, could not get the worldwide share of voice that having the Tui brand on the Rideau Canal. I'm sure everyone here knows that when you say the word Canal du Midi, right away you think of France. It would be wonderful in the next few years if we were to say Rideau Canal, whether it was in South Africa, Australia, or China, they would know exactly where we are. And it's a TUI that can do that for us, as well as the other companies. What we see too is, of course, increased international visitation. TUI's biggest market is Germany. They are big spenders, followed by the Swiss, the Austrians, the French, the Italians. They're big spenders. The people who come to do this have money. We're not talking about people like Canadians who are always looking for free or a sale or 50% discount or a 2-for-1. Sorry, darling, I'll speed up, thanks. We also see that it'll encourage people along the canal, I'm watching the clock in the back, people along the canal to invest in their own businesses to be able to offer these products. So there will be a lot of community economic development. Just to give you a very quick sample of a 5-year plan, 16 boats to 32 boats. The average spend starts at $824 per boat per day, going to $927 per boat per day. And you can see the direct economic benefit. That's the money that goes into the communities, $1 million, $2 million, all the way up to 3.5. And in the first year, it's approximately 2,000 new visitors, up to 4,000 new visitors. And Darlene was gracious enough to share some information from her own Rideau Canal economic impact study, 10-11, and the average spend is about $245 a day. So you see there's a great big gap from $245 to $824 a day, and that goes directly into the communities. So again, our partners, we thank Darlene, who's been with us from the very beginning. Parks Canada has been wonderful. And again, we're here today to say that we need all of you, because the province can't do it alone, Parks Canada can't do it alone. And I like Darlene's wording, so I'm going to be like a parrot and say that we want to engage with you. We need every one of you. I'll be here throughout the day today, so please meet me, please give me your cards, please exchange ideas, and we look forward to the support from all of the communities, and thank you very much.